All right, a few technical difficulties. We're ready to go. So, first off, Liz and I wanted to thank you all for sharing this very special day with us. And spoiler alert, be sure to keep one sip in your glass because we are going to toast when I finally stop talking. So I wanted to be a father for as long as I can remember. I'm not sure if that trait came directly through the DNA from amazing parents or if it was demonstrated to me by amazing parents. And I know Liz has wanted to be a mom since she was a little girl, putting dresses and pink bows on her little brother, Chris. I still remember when Liz and I were dating in the beginning. We would talk about having kids. The ultra-organized Liz already had the name picked out. Shocking, I know. The crazy thing is that I already had the name picked out too. I'm not sure who said it first, but we both announced that Sydney was our name choice. It was nice to have that decision settled really early, like 5 years before we actually had a Sydney. Okay, great. So now we have a baby girl with a name. What next? Well, like most of you, we use the same tricks on our kids that our grandparents and our parents used on us. Sydney was, like most babies, wide awake. Perfect. In desperation to get her to sleep, I turned to my grandma's songbook. Carol Berger, that's Mom's mom, had a magical way of sedating two unruly and hyperactive brothers with a back rub and a song. My brother Matt and I turned to mush under her soft hands and quiet rendition of the Sandman Lullaby. It worked on Sydney too. Later, as new parents, we thought it was a law that we had to introduce our children to the Wheels on the Bus song. Sydney loved the interactive book we had on the subject, so her love for music was nurtured, for better or worse. Hit it, boys.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
Excellent. When the kids got a little older, they started to pick the music they loved. We took a great ski trip one year with some friends, and I made a group video. I told the kids to each pick a theme song to accompany their starring moments in the video. This was long before iTunes, so they had to pick the music from my cassette tapes, which were heavily loaded with last century's classic rock, the good stuff. Sydney picked Brown Eyed Girl. If you look over here, those who met the baby version of Sydney Philpott remember that she had the darkest chocolate brown eyes in the whole wide world. So the theme song stuck. When Sydney graduated from 6th grade at community school, she had to decide on her individual presentation to the assembled families. Each graduate kept secret from their parents whether they planned to deliver a speech, play an instrument, sing a song, or read a poem. Sydney had abandoned the piano in 2nd grade and had never loved to sing, so we were fully prepared for a non-musical graduation moment for her. Liz and I were overwhelmed when she stepped to the microphone and announced that she wasn't going to play it safe. She was not going to let the fear of singing in public stop her. She flexed her diaphragm and became fearless like this. Pretty impressive. A few years ago, Sydney and I had a car ride that was all about music. In fact, that is the moment that I first believed Sydney and Andy would get married. Sydney was working in a lab in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Liz and I went to visit our wonderful friends Ricky and Tracy Silver in nearby Asheville. Little did I know that Liz had arranged for us to meet up with Sydney as a birthday surprise to me. We drove into the Blue Ridge Mountains to go on a hike, with Sydney all set to surprise me once we got to the trailhead. But while driving to us, Sydney's GPS signal was lost, and her phone service was spotty in the mountainous terrain. She couldn't find us. When we finally connected with Sydney in a parking lot at the top of the mountain, she was crying and pale. She was barely able to croak out, "Happy birthday, Dad." A mixture of tears and laughter flowed as she explained being lost and angry and sorry and happy to see everyone. We decided that Sydney and I would go in her car to the trailhead. It was a beautiful drive through the mountains. A layer of fog had lifted to reveal a green blanket over rolling peaks. As her pulse and blood pressure returned to normal, Sydney decided to introduce me to her music collection. She played cool new stuff from the Lumineers and the Avett Brothers, millennials music. Then she played something from a guy I've listened to since high school. Peter Gabriel was singing a song, but I'd never heard it before. Sydney was silent at first, but in a quiet voice said, "This is one of our favorites, The Book of Love."
The book of love is long and boring.
The Book of Love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. It's full of charts and facts and figures and instructions for dancing. I was blown away. The song is beautiful, and hearing Peter Gabriel was like a visit from an old friend. I was somehow transported in that moment, and I understood the depth of Sydney's love for Andy. The lyrics tell us that music can be transcendental. It was for me that day. The gorgeous misty mountains, time alone in the car with Sydney, who was vulnerable and open, and lyrics like, "The book of love is long and boring,"
The book of love is long and boring.
and written very long ago. It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes.
It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes.
And things we're all too young to know. But I love it when you give me things. And you ought to give me wedding rings. I still can't listen to this song without tearing up. I will never forget knowing at that moment, Sydney is in love, grown-up love, with Andy Strife. Finally, I still laugh thinking about the conversation I had with Gigi in our office the week Sydney and Andy announced they were officially dating. What are we going to do when they break up? In fact, we had the same conversation sitting in my office when they announced they were going to Swanee together. What are we going to do when they break up? Well, Sydney and Andy, you have beaten the odds. I've calculated the chances of an 11th grade girl from Burroughs dating a guy from Prairie, born in the same month, to parents who are business partners and neighbors. The two keep dating during college while the guy beats cancer. And then they get married. The chances are 0. It has been a pleasure to watch the impossible take shape, a permanent shape today. We can all now believe in the impossible. At last, I want to give some fatherly advice, of course, to my fearless, brown-eyed girl on her wedding day. Sydney, you and Andy have made the most important decision of your life. You and Andy have picked each other for life. Enjoy the ride together, because the wheels on the bus go round and round. And remember, the book of love is long and boring, and full of things we're all too young to know. Let your successes sing and your failures whisper. Please raise your glass to the love of 2 high school sweethearts, to Sydney and Andy. I love you.